Hey, eighth graders. Yesterday with my students in school, we read these poems and started a new assignment. And I wanted to make sure, since you weren't here, that I did the same for you, reading these poems together and moving forward. We have spent some time looking at what refugees are, and we have spent some time thinking about where Ha and her family are, her brothers and her mom are in this journey. So let's just take a little step back and think about where she's gone. We started with the New Year Tet and a lot of uncertainty. School was closed down, and the communists are coming into South Vietnam and taking it over. And so finally, we've seen them get on a boat and fleeing, and they talked about going to Thailand, and they're looking to avoid the communists and trying to find an escape. So let's read this poem, then we'll look briefly at a map, and then we will look at the assignment for today and Monday. Last respects. After 2 weeks at sea, the commander calls all of us above deck for a formal lowering of our yellow flag with 3 red stripes. South Vietnam no longer exists. One woman tries to throw herself overboard, screaming that without a country she cannot live. As they wrestle her down, a man stabs his heart with a toothbrush. I don't know them, so their pain seems unreal next to Brother Coy's, whose eyes are as wild as those of his broken chick. I hold his hand. Come with me. He doesn't resist. Alone at the back of the ship, I open Mother's white handkerchief. Inside lies my mouse-bitten doll, her arms wrapped around the limp, fuzzy body of his chick. I tie it all into a bundle. Brother Coy nods. I smile, but I regret not having my doll as soon as the white bundle sinks into the sea. May 14th. One engine. In the middle of the night, our engine stops. Mother hugs me, hearts drumming as one. If the communists catch us fleeing, it's 1,000,000 times worse than staying at home. After many shouts and much time, the ship moves forward with just one engine. Mother would not release me. The commander says, Thailand is much farther than on one engine. It was risky to take the river route. We escaped bombs, but missed the rescue ships. The commander decides the ration is now half a clump of rice, only at morning and at night, and 1 cup of water all day. Sip, he says. And don't waste strength moving around, because it's impossible to predict how much longer we will be floating. May 16th. The moon. During the day, the deck belongs to men and children. At nightfall, women make their way up. In single files, they sponge bathe and relieve themselves behind blanket curtains. I always stand in line with Mother. Every night she points upward. At least the moon remains unchanged. Your father could be looking at the same round moon. He may already understand we will wait for him across the world. I feel guilty having not once thought of father. I can't wish for him to appear until I know where we'll be. May 18th. A kiss. The horn on our ship blows and blows, waking everyone from a week-long nap. A sure answer, honk honk, seems close enough and real enough to call everyone on deck. A gigantic ship with an American flag moves closer. Men in white uniform wave and smile. Our commander wears his navy jacket and hat so white and so crisp. Now I realize why I like him so much in uniform. He looks just like father. He boards the other ship, salutes, and shakes hands with a man whose hair grows on his face, not on his head, in the color of flames. I had not known such hair was possible. We clap and clap as the ships draw together and kiss. Boxes and boxes pass onto our deck. Oranges, apples, bananas, cold, sweet, bubbly drinks, chocolate drops, fruity gum. The American ship tows ours with a steel braid thick as my body. Our rescue now certain, the party blossoms as food suddenly comes up from below. Ramen noodles, beef jerky, dried shrimp, butter biscuits, tamarind pods, canned fish, and drums of real water. Mother says, people share when they know they have escaped hunger. Shouldn't people share because there is hunger? That night I stand behind, blowing blankets and pour fresh water all over my skin. How sweet water tastes even when mixed with soap. May 24th. Golden fuzz. Water, water, still everywhere, but in the distance appears a black dot. We are told to pack our crisscrossed packs and line up in a single file. 20 at a time board a motorboat heading toward the dot. An arm extends to help us board, an arm hairy with fuzz. I touch it, so real and long, not knowing if I will have another chance to touch golden fuzz. I pluck one hair. Mother slaps my hand. Brother Kwang speaks quickly in the language I must learn. The fuzzy man laughs. I'm grateful the boat starts to rock, so Mother hasn't the composure to scold me, not just yet. I roll my fuzzy souvenir between my thumb and finger and can't help but smile. Last poem for today, Tent City. We have landed on an island called Guam, which no one can pronounce except Brother Kwang, who becomes translator for all. Many others arrived before us and are living in green tents and sleeping on cots. We eat inside a huge tent where Brother Vu becomes head chef, heating up cans of beef and potatoes tasting like salty vomit. We eat only canned fruit and thick syrup, and everyone wants extras, but we get only a cup. Brother Vu somehow brings home a huge can, pumping it to work out his arm muscles. We eat straight from the can as I search for cherries and grapes. Okay, that's the poems we're reading today, and now we've gotten to another destination. What was the name of the island? Yep, that's right, Guam. And I wanted just to take a moment to think geographically where we are here. Here's our map. Okay, so this is where they were. It's now called Ho Chi Minh City because when the communists came down and took it over, they renamed it Ho Chi Minh City after their leader. So Hanoi is up here. This is where the North Vietnamese, the communists, were. Note that North Vietnam is surrounded by China. Here's the big city of Kunming. I was there once. And so a lot of the influence for communism did come in part from China, and China was supportive of the Vietnamese conflict with their effort to bring communism by force down to southern Vietnam. So here's South Vietnam. And if you look, they were originally going to head to Thailand, but they have to go all the way around the edge here, not just across to Cambodia, because Cambodia was also experiencing their conflict, all the way around to Thailand to get help as refugees. But instead, where did they end up? They ended up in Guam. And let me see if I can find Guam. All the way over here, there's Guam. Okay? Guam is actually an American territory. It's a U.S. island territory. And now it's primarily like a beach resort area, a beautiful, beautiful area. But this is where the American ship ended up taking them. And we'll zoom out again. It's quite a ways away from Vietnam. But of course, they have a lot farther to travel because Guam isn't where they're going to end up. Okay, let's come back to our work for the day. I'm going to have to share my screen again. No, wrong one. This is the one we want. Okay. So this is our assignment, Thursday, Friday, and yes, into next week for you virtual students. You should have already read this article, Refugees Who, Where, Why. You're going to be using that article today. And what we're looking at, because Ha and her family are refugees, and this article explains the history of refugees and some aspects of that they face, some challenges they face. So I want you to go back through, and I've posted it here, and reread that as you need to find evidence for this project. Give me a minute for it to load. Okay. So the article on the refugees and the novel both highlight challenges that refugees face when fleeing home. So I want you in the left column here to list 2 challenges with support then in the right column from the informational text and examples of the challenges. Ha's family faced as they fled from our novel, and then from the informational text. So let's just look through this before I get my tongue tangled. What challenges do refugees face when fleeing home? That's the stuff in the left side. And then on the right side is the strongest evidence from the text. So each of these boxes, you can see I've done one example for you. I want you to do 2 more 2 in the left box, 2 in the other box, and then down to the bottom, the novel here, do 2 examples. So, informational text example, they lose physical possessions. Refugees experience the challenge of losing physical possessions when they are forced to flee their homes. More than 14 million people, this is quoting from the article, more than 14 million men, women, and children have been forced to flee their homes. So you see they lose physical possessions, their homes, and that text helps explain that. Then come down to the novel, losing physical possessions. I chose the same example because it's a good one and it's clear. The poem on page 57, Left Behind, in our book, describes all the stuff they couldn't take with them. And so if you look at that poem, Left Behind, in page 57, it's a long list of the stuff they couldn't take with them. So go through and do this. Find the example. Find the examples of things that they face, the challenges they face when fleeing home. And then you'll be done. And we can keep moving on. Thanks for listening. Thanks for doing your work. And keep it up, those of you who have been. And if you haven't been, you have a chance to get ahead here and to keep pushing and catch up with where we are. Thanks for listening.